Welcome to our new FAQ series. My name is Christina Newman. I'm the Director of Education over here at Multimedia Makeup Academy of Aesthetics, Cosmetology, and Special Effects. For those of you that don't know, the Academy has been around and was established since 2010. We provided a little over 11 years of makeup education here at the Academy before we decided to transition into a licensed cosmetology and aesthetics school. The great thing about us is that we continue to keep all of our robust makeup curriculum and pair it with licensure of your choice. One of my roles here at the Academy is to help students make the right choice when it comes to their program selection. During our tour, we talk about the differences between cosmetology and aesthetics. We also discuss how much makeup they're wanting to learn in their program, whether they're interested in beauty and bridal and editorial or film and special effects. During the tour, one of the most frequently asked questions I've received from prospective students is if we're accredited. I have to then take some time to explain what accreditation actually is, what it entails, and why some schools decide to move forward with accreditation. My answer to them is no, the Academy is not accredited, and then I have to set out and provide them with all of the facts and details as to why we are not accredited. For those of you that are not aware, accreditation is issued by a third party and it enables many schools to participate in Title IV funding. Title IV funding is what grants schools to be able to offer federal financial aid. Quite often, students or prospective students will do research on the internet, and I don't blame them, everybody does that, about accreditation. There are some misconceptions and there's a lot of sorting to be done between fact and myth when it comes to accreditation. We started the accreditation process and got, I'd say, probably a third to halfway through it and discovered that if we were to move forward, it would drastically change the culture here at the Academy. And not only that, but many of our students who deal with depression or anxiety would be forced to withdraw from the program if they could not meet the requirements for attendance or if they exceeded past the leave of absence policies. For those of you that are unaware, if you were to search accreditation up on the internet, you're going to find a couple different lines as far as what it is. The general line that is given, and it's provided by most schools who are accredited or the accreditation agencies themselves, is that it's a process used to evaluate the quality of educational institutions. So these third-party organizations have expertise in education standards, if you will. And there's specific criteria that each school has to meet. You have to, as a school, prepare, you have to apply, there's a submission, there's an inspection, and then, the final step is accreditation. We got through part of that process and the writing was very clear on the wall to us. But what I find interesting, if you do a little bit of research online, you'll see some standard lines from these various websites that if you don't go to an accredited school, your license is not valid and people will not hire you. Believe it or not, that's on a lot of them, and that is 100% false. If anybody who has been doing the research knows, each state in which you go to a cosmetology or aesthetic school, it's the state that regulates the licensure. The accreditation agency does not sign off on the validity of your educational experience. It is the state that does that. In fact, you take your exams through a third party at the state level. So the schools themselves don't even offer the exams to you. You go somewhere, and it's really important that schools follow their state guidelines and what is and is not acceptable as far as the education and training. Because ultimately, schools themselves, like the Academy here, we're responsible for ensuring that the students can pass both their theory and their exam boards. So another thing that people will see in their search online is that websites will state you cannot be certified in a unaccredited technical school. That is false. Again, schools that operate in each state have to pass a whole list of policies and procedures through their state and meet state requirements to even open up as a cosmetology or aesthetic school. Certifications in and of themselves from your school of learning, whether it's here at the academy or any other school, show that you completed the program. But again, that's not what makes you legal to provide services. What makes you legal is having that licensure. So for websites to state that, you know, if you go to an unaccredited school, you're not going to pass your state boards, or that your certification doesn't mean anything, or that a future employer is not going to hire you because you went to an unaccredited school, again, is completely false. Employers specifically want to know that you have your license through your state. Also, any school who is set up and approved by the state had to meet requirements for the actual space, the school itself, as well as the curriculum. Sometimes you'll see schools online, you know, because they offer accreditation, they'll say, you know, we went through the highest vetting process there is. Our accreditation agency makes sure that we have the highest educational standard for curriculum. That's not really accurate. What's more closely accurate is that the accreditation agency is looking at what the school has and signing off essentially that it meets their state's requirements. So again, accreditation just means that you are vetted by a third party, and it doesn't make the curriculum any better or any worse necessarily. It's just that third party is ensuring that your school is meeting their state standards. And quite frankly, any school with their own integrity would be meeting the state standards, and I would argue excel beyond the state standards to offer a great education for their students. So if you're still with me and we're talking about accreditation, there's a couple reasons why we decided to stay unaccredited, just to recap, and what we believe are advantages. The flexibility we have as a school, flexibility to offer more curriculum, to have that robust makeup education, to have the additional business content, and our flexibility in which we can help the students. We don't have our hands bound as far as their attendance. We're able to work with them. We're able to offer leaves of absences that go beyond the Department of Education requirements that the accreditation agencies have to kind of monitor. And it ensures that if a student's going through a rough patch, we can help them, give them time to get back on their feet and get back into the classroom. There's also the idea of the cost of accreditation. So a lot of people don't really talk about how costly it is. It is extremely costly. If you were to look into a few different accreditation agencies that deal with cosmetology and aesthetic schools, it'd be easy to kind of find an overall cost. But how do schools handle that as far as incurring those additional costs? Ultimately, it gets rolled down into the cost for the student. If you're watching this video because you're deciding which school to go to or just doing some research before you even tour, my advice is that you should not base your attendance to a school or make a choice in a school based upon whether it's accredited or non-accredited. But for your specific situation, does it offer the curriculum that you're looking for? Does it make sense for your future goals? That's what ultimately should be your main deciding factor.